This morning, the 12th of May, I want to examine the policy shift that's being touted as radical, but may in practice prove regressive, ill-timed, and even self-defeating. I speak of the Labour government's newly announced crackdown on legal migration, a white paper that claims to restore order to the immigration system while appealing rather transparency to voters tempted by Reform UK's rhetoric and aggression. So let's begin with the care sector. So yesterday, I talked about the crackdown on people who've committed crimes. The care sector is something slightly different. From this year, care homes will no longer be allowed to recruit care workers from abroad. Instead, they must hire from a domestic pool of roughly 10,000 migrant workers already in the UK, many of whom were lured here on false promises, only to find their jobs vanished into thin air. They are the displaced, already traumatised, and now recycled individuals who we need to take care of, who we need to find work for. The Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, says this is about fair play and domestic training, but it's fiction. The social care sector currently has over 131,000 vacancies. Without migration, those vacancies don't vanish, they become a crisis. Age UK and Care England have both warned that this will collapse entire services, pushing vulnerable patients into hospitals that are already overwhelmed. Why? Because the Treasury knows that the Home Office is speaking rubbish. The Treasury knows exactly what the Home Office is trying to forget, that we have a rapidly ageing population, a shrinking birth rate, and a domestic workforce ill-equipped and in many cases unwilling to take up roles in social care at the offered pay level. In reality, we need those foreign workers not just to care but to contribute taxes, to stabilise services and to support our pension-heavy economy. Now, to students, another group caught in the crossfire of rhetoric and reality. The new rules will curtail the ability of international students to stay and work in the UK after graduation unless they find a graduate-level job, and fast. This is the same rubbish that was put forward by Theresa May. It's nasty, and it gives the impression that we are taking money from students while they're studying here and then throwing them out. The graduate visa, which had previously offered 2 years of breathing space, is now becoming a stopwatch ticking down to deportation, and visa routes for students from countries with higher overstay rates, such as Nigeria and Pakistan, will be reviewed, a word that too often translates into a de facto form of discrimination. Why? Because university students are very well documented. They don't need to be searched for in the streets. They're already there. The Home Office is monitoring not only their addresses, but also their bank accounts. So and the universities, in all likelihood, have also got significant details about them. This means this is a target group that the Home Office can address without doing any work. They did it during Theresa May's time. They're now doing it during Yvette Cooper's time. It's cruel, and it backfires, and it's unpleasant. Universities are panicking, and with good reason. Already nearly half of England's universities are facing deficits. Some, like Dundee, have received emergency bailouts. Others, like Bedfordshire, are cutting hundreds of staff and closing courses. Why? Because international students subsidise British education. If they leave, the structure buckles, and still we persist with policy that looks populist but feels in economic terms like self-harm. Now, to the more headline-grabbing part, deportation for foreign nationals convicted of crimes, which I covered yesterday. Until now, the bar for deportation was set at a 12-month prison sentence. Labour proposes to eliminate that threshold. From now on, any crime, including public order offences or minor assaults, could trigger removal proceedings, and the Home Office could be notified of every conviction. This is not about serious crime, it's about theatrical nationalism. Most migrants in the UK, particularly those who've come to work or study, are already law-abiding and heavily documented. Crime has actually gone down in the last 10 years. They do not commit crimes at a higher rate than native population individuals. This policy will not significantly reduce crime. It will, however, cast suspicion on entire communities and incentivize police profiling, overreach, and injustice. Keir Starmer's justification that we are ending the, quote, free market experiment begun after Brexit, where yoga teachers and DJs were inexplicably invited under the skilled visa route. But what is actually happening here is not a return to order, but a reinvention of the same errors, restriction for its own sake, ideological window dressing for voters angry with everything from potholes to housing, and a betrayal of those who already contribute quietly and diligently to British life. And finally, the numbers. Labour insists it will not set migration targets, presumably to avoid repeating the errors of the Conservatives' tens of thousands fantasy. But there is a number, a reduction of 50,000 lower-skilled visas a year. Is that a triumph or a tweak? Reform UK says it's nothing. The universities say it's catastrophic. Care providers say it's delusional. And the Treasury, behind the curtain, is calculating how long it can sustain services without the tax revenues those migrants generate. So what are we to make of it? A crackdown, certainly, but not on illegality and not on inefficiency. This is a crackdown on visibility, on the presence of migrants who are inconveniently visible in jobs the British workforce won't touch, or on campuses we can no longer afford to fund. If this is Labour's answer to reform, one fears they've asked the wrong question. They're doing the wrong thing. They're playing around with the wrong stuff. They're taking a lesson from the wrong Prime Minister, from Theresa May when she was Home Secretary. They are playing stupid games. There are things we can do. This is not one of them.